Recording. Good morning. Jeff here for another fantastic video. This is the third in the series from one of my favorite people, Scott McMillan. We're just trying to offer some advice to him, seeming a little stuck in disillusionment, embitteredness, discouragement, I am just seeing if I can come up with some of the things I've learned on my path that might be helpful to my friend Scott. Okay. Now, last time I was telling him of my own story. Around 55, I got to the point where I had enough. I didn't want any more, and I kind of said, "That's it. I'm out. You know, I'm not going to try anymore. I'm dead. You know, I'm not dead, but." So I said, okay, I'm going to start preparing for next lifetime, which is a brilliant thought. Okay, a brilliant thought. So what I did and you're not going to have to do this, okay, Scott, you're not going to have to do this. I'm just telling you what I did, because this is pretty stiff. So I started a regimen. I got up like at 4 in the morning. I stretched for about 15, 18 minutes, meditated for an hour, went down to the local pool, did a 35-minute swim. You know how much I love being in the water. Remember that? And I can get a lot of work done these days in 35 minutes. I recommend you get back in the pool, actually. 2 days a week, 35 minutes, you won't regret it. You always feel great after a swim. Then I'd go up to the hills above Los Gatos, and I would do energization exercises provided by Yogananda, about 18 minutes, about just sucking in prana from the universe. To go down to this little area I had for myself next to a little stream, and I'd do pranayamic breathing supplied by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. Okay, a pranayamic breathing technique, about 50 minutes. And then I do another 35 minutes of meditation. I held that for about 2 years. Almost 2 years, about 3-4 days a week, around about that, say 4 days a week. And after that routine, immediately, I felt pretty good. For about 2 or 3 hours. That's 3.5 hours worth of stuff. For about 3 hours after that, I felt good. I felt as good as I felt in a long time. But then I would kind of revert back to the old, latent self. But I held that for that long, about an hour, a year and 3/4. And then I had to get back to work at this job that I had to go to work early, so I didn't do that anymore. No, and I don't think I feel as I have to do it quite that way anymore. I did that to shake off the same things you have around you right now, a certain crust, okay, a sort of encrustment of dense, low energies that were messing with my daily life and my eternal moment, every present moment, okay, and I needed to get rid of that. And so that's what I held. I held that routine for that reason. It was just, it got to the point there was so much self-negativity and self-hatred even going on inside of me that life was just a joke. It was just a big fat joke. And I needed, and I said, I look up at God and I say, God, this is a joke. I hate myself so much and have so much self-negativity. What on earth is going on here? What the hell happened? So that is the routine I have held. I'm not saying that you have to do that. You don't have to. I'm telling you right now you don't. But that was the beginning of me sort of on my way back to my more real, truer self, the same self you have, that is, like I say, you're like the king in the Twin Towers at Lord of the Rings. Have this crust around you that you've accumulated as you move through life, and it's been a light diminishing process as you have accumulated this crust around you. A lot of old guys, that's what getting old is all about in this culture. And a lot of guys get that going on, and then they devolve into saying, the same things, the political stuff, and they lose that light and love the fact that they're a child piece of God with unlimited potential and the light and love that exists at the center of their being. They completely lose that, all right? And so, like I told you before, early on, I looked at guys getting older and I go, I'm not doing that. You know, I'm not going to be old like that. You know what I mean? And that's something you may want to consider. Okay, so the first thing I said to you was this: one life. Didn't work out so well. So what? You got thousands of lifetimes before this one. You're going to have thousands of life after this one, and you're going to go back and you're going to go up there at the time when the time comes, and you're going to look back at this life, and you're going to have a lot to learn from this life. Okay, a lot to learn. So you got to look at it that way, and not be so hard on yourself about it. Okay, you're gonna look at the mistakes you've made, and you're gonna vow not to make those mistakes coming into your next life. Okay, it's gonna be in a way meaningless to you that you had that one life that didn't work out so well. It's gonna happen. You're going to get thousands of life. We all have had thousands of life. It's just gonna happen, it's not that big of a deal. Let it. Don't carry the weight. Let it go. Understand that you're going to have a lot to learn about this life, and you got to move forward through it that way. Okay, number 2. This one here. Now listen carefully. All forgiveness, all surrender, all acceptance, all allowance, and no resistance. One more time. All forgiveness, all surrender, all acceptance, all allowance, and no resistance. Okay, you got to start to apply that 5-word mantra throughout your life, each and every moment, each and every day. You got to forgive the things you didn't think or you could forgive. You got to surrender to all the things inside you that you wish weren't there but are there, and you got to accept and surrender to them. You got to accept everybody around you as they are. You got to allow them to be what they are, and you don't resist anything that you come across, whether that's inside in your inner life or your the outer experience of life. Okay, that mantra there is a powerful. I made it up. I just thought of that myself. It's a powerful, powerful tool to start decrusting yourself. Okay, start dissolving that stuff around yourself, so you can once again start shine forth. So you can once again start loving yourself more, being more tender with yourself, start laughing more, being relaxed, lighthearted, gentle ribbing. That's essentially you. I've seen it. Okay, I was your friend. I know it's there, and it is there. But that was your hallmark. Laughing and having a good time. That's why we made it so well together, both me and you. We both were kind of like that way, and so it's there. It's not gone. It's there. It's just covered up. Okay, and you got to realize that. All right. And you got to learn how to love yourself again. You got to learn how to think of yourself in tender ways. You got to get out of that prisoner mind state. That was another thing. I felt as though I was in a prisoner mind state back then my whole life. I was a prisoner of my own mind, and it was an unacceptable and intolerable experience. And I needed to change it. I needed to get rid of it because, I just wasn't going to allow it any further, all right? And that's a little bit what you're experiencing right now. You're kind of in a mental prison of that incrustation you have around you that's hiding and burying the light that is you, okay? The love and light that is you, that we all are, okay? So that practice, all forgiveness, all surrender, all acceptance, all allowance, and no resistance. Don't resist anything. That guy that was bragging on himself at the party you were telling me about, fine, let him brag. Why does it have anything to do with you? The old Scott I knew wouldn't have taken offense to that, but you seem to be a little bit pressed out of shape about it, annoyed by it, and that's understandable. Some guy doing that, and it's understandable to be annoyed by that. But Scott I used to know, go ahead, yeah, you on the shoulder, yeah, there, buddy, go, good, and then just walk off. You don't have to hang around that guy, but you don't have to resist him. See, that's resistance. When you feel badly or somehow less than somebody doing that, you're resisting the situation. That's what resistance is all about. Resistance is resistance. Here's a good example of it. There's some guys downstairs. Okay, they have a little family. parents and a couple of kids. Now, the kids used to always come up to me and say, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Come, be excited and to see me and stuff like that, and want to talk, and they were doing it to me. So I would, I don't have any kids, so it's nice to have that. I've told the story before, but I'm telling it again for my friend. And it was, it's nice. It's nice to have kids come up to you and be friendly and open, and it's nice. But at some point, they started to look at me fearfully. They started to run in the other direction, and like I was some sort of boogeyman or something, and they would no longer do that. So I know that those parents poisoned their minds against me at some point, for whatever reasons they had to do that. Maybe they are a little nervous because there's a lot of crazy people in this world. But so that has changed now, and those kids no longer do that. And indeed, they treat me with fear, like a monster almost, or whatever. But so I got to be okay with that. That's just something that happened. It's not a bad thing that happened. This is just something that happened. Okay, the kids were friendly to me, and it was nice. It added to my life. Now they're not friendly to me, and it's not. I don't get that little pump that I used to get. But I got to be okay with that. I got to say, okay, fine. That's just happened. It's not a bad thing that happened. It's just something that's happened. Okay, and accept it and allow it, and don't resist it. Okay, not only that, but their parents. I got to be okay with them. I can't hold anything against them. That would be resistance, okay? That would be non-allowance. That would be non-forgiveness, okay? I got to be okay with what they've done, and not think less of them, not think I am better than them, not think that I am I'm not spiritual growing now, and they're lower vibrational beings doing fear-oriented things. I got to treat them every time like it never happened, with compassion and empathy, because they got tough lives. There's no cakewalk for these guys, and I treat them as well and as kindly and is not that I go. We're saying a bunch of things we aren't, because they don't particularly like me, either. But I'm doing the best I can just to be okay with it, and to think compassionately about those people. Okay, and I can tell you, all the way down, that's exactly what I feel. There's no part of me that thinks, "Why, this is such a screwed up world. How could this happen?" No part of me thinks that. Okay, I'm not there anymore. That's the advantage of spiritual growth. You're not such a spiritual person. Let's admit that. But you don't have to think necessarily in spiritual terms. Think in terms of consciousness growth. That's what you need to do. You just start growing your consciousness so you can grow out of this incrustation you've got around you. All right, and you can do that all kinds of different ways. You don't have to do necessarily what I'm telling you to do, but think of it as consciousness growth. It'll eventually turn into spiritual growth. But as I know you now, and as I knew you back then, you're not the most spiritual person or inclined. Apparently I am a spiritually inclined person, and it is to my benefit that I am. But one day you might be, and as you take these steps forward, you may want to start thinking spiritually. Don't think religiously. Don't start going to the Mormon church and start going praying every Sunday. Forget all that stuff. It's no good whatsoever. Spiritual growth, that's where it's happening. Consciousness growth, that's what it's about. You have to start then pulling yourself together. Every time, now listen, this is very important. Every time you've come across a situation in your last 45 years, 50 years, 60 years, and you haven't you haven't forgiven it or accepted it or allowed it, you've left a piece of yourself in that experience as you carry these resentments and these judgments about life and about how lousy people really are in this life, and they can be, and loveless they truly are. Every time you hold sort of resentments about that, you're losing a part of yourself in that experience. As you begin to mercilessly put into practice this mantra I'm just telling you, you begin to gather your parts back to you, and you begin to make yourself whole again. You've dispersed yourself in not processing certain experiences in life properly. Okay, as you begin to forgive and surrender and just forget. Just forget them, forgive it, surrender, allow it, accept it for what it was, don't resist it, and just forget about it. You start to draw back those elements of yourself you've left in those experiences that you didn't manage properly, okay? That's how this thing works, okay? That's how it happened to me. I felt like I shattered Humpty Dumpty off a wall, shattered into a million pieces. And I had to slowly put my life back together, slowly get those pieces back together and put them back, basically. Look at me. Look at me right now. Look at my energies. Am I fundamentally any different than you knew me back 50 years ago, 51, 52 years ago? Amazing, huh? 53 years ago. I just turned 72, April 10th. Amazing, huh? Do I seem fundamentally any different than I was then? I seem to have all my stuff working, maybe a little wiser, maybe a little bit more confident, maybe a little more outgoing. I was a bit of kind of a shy kid. That's where you came in, really. You helped me beyond that. You helped me come out of my shell a little bit, the way you were, how much I liked you. That practice there will get you going. Will get you moving in the right direction. You got to treat yourself a little more care, with a little more tenderness. Don't be hard on yourself. You have to fall from that. My trek has been falling from that prisoner mind state into the heart. Okay, and into the open heart, and begin to live through the heart resonance each and every eternal now moment. That's my practice. That's what I'm doing here. Okay, that's my way out of the mind. That isn't such a great, no matter how you want to slice it, isn't such a great place to be. Okay, you're holding in your mind now, and you're a prisoner of that mind state. Now, how do you get out? That's the question. That's your task. You're 71. You got another 10 good years. Okay, you got some stuff left in you, and now what are you going to do about it? That's what you have to think about it. Your whole life. When you go back to source, and you go back to the other side, and you look back, and you're going to realize what a joke your whole life was. But if you get something going this last 10 years, so you can pull yourself out of this funk, and get to a point where you begin to enjoy your life, you begin to enjoy people again. You may even want to get to help and do others. You're a leader. It would have been better if you would have found something you were passionate about and put that into practice. A little business, a little this, a little that. That would have been better if you did that with your life. Okay, but it didn't happen. So what? You're going to be able to do that next lifetime, and you never really did know what your gifts truly are. What gifts you had to share with the world. You never really did get there because you were buried with your responsibilities. You understand that? And that's what you're pissed off about too. You were buried and you had to do everything but everybody else's bidding, and that may not even have worked out. Having a family, there's no guarantee that's going to work out the way we want it to, and I get the feeling that didn't even work out very good for you. You'll be grateful to yourself that you this part of your life, you decided that where you're sitting right now wasn't good enough, and you're going to get up and you're going to do something about it. You're a warrior. You're a leader. I'm a warrior. I'm a leader. We're both. That's why we liked one another. Okay, and your life's not over. Let's end this right here. We got one more here. I'm sorry, I just don't want this to go too long, so I'm going to do one more video on my friend Scott McMillan, and we're going to wind that up then. Okay, but think about all these things I'm trying to tell you. Okay, I'll have one last video with a few more insights, and then we'll move on. But think about these things. If you don't, you don't. Whatever you want to make out of it. If you want to take a few steps in that direction, fine. If you want to do a whole overall, that's but a little bit is better than nothing. And so, however you want to handle it is your business. It's not my business. I'm just kind of giving you little pointers here. I'm giving you a little advice from your old friend who loves you very, very much. Okay? Okay, that is going to be it. Jeff Africa, Jeff, Africa's Last Dance, the citizen of Earth. loyal patriot of the United States of America, and I stand unafraid. And these four, Mother Earth, Divine Mother, Paramatma Yogana, and Jeshua Ben Joseph, are seeing me through into this adventure of mine of falling from the head and living from the open heart chakra each and every eternal now moment, blessing everyone I come across, making their lives just a little bit better for having known me, including Mother Earth herself, having someone such as me, a heart-based human being, a heart-centered human being, walking around this place trying to do the best he can to add to everybody's life in the best way he can. All right, that's it for now. Bye.